last two national champions officials, Doug Donovan, Jeffrey Hoffman, and the lead official is Brian Abbott. Two of the best face-off men in the country, Will Lynch for Notre Dame, Luke Wierman for Maryland. And Wierman jumped face-off violation number 1 on Notre Dame. Maryland with the ball first. That is another titanic battle to watch. Both above 70% in this NCAA tournament. The Terps will go on off.
Atlanta, Georgia. I watched him throughout the course of the season on tape. He could sling it with his left and his right hand.
The Georgia delegation had a hand in that goal. The assist by Eric Molliver, who's from Atlanta. Notre Dame wins this face-off. Will Lynch. And now that's Chris Kavanaugh, 50 in white. Notre Dame. He had 3 in the semifinals. Syracuse with the assist. So Ryan Syracuse has had a hand in the 2 Maryland goals. Lynch and Wierman both hit the deck. The wings get involved. Stamos and Donovan near the sideline. Out of bounds, Notre Dame ball. Kark
and the ball movement off of that collapse from Taylor to Busenkill allowed that step down.
Wierman wins it back. And Luke Wierman is not just a faux go, face-off, get-off. He can stay on, he'll set picks, occasionally dodge. But this time he will race around the crease in weeks.
And I love the fact that Notre Dame attacks Maryland in the early offensive set. That is before the Terp defense can get their matchups and get settled.
Wierman wins this face-off.
I think that's big in this game, and Paul. Who can find goals? 2010, 2014, they win their first gold trophy a year ago.
Second meeting of this season between these two teams. Notre Dame won the first meeting 14-9 back on March 3rd. Maryland with the equalizer. That's Jack Cadillac Chorus.
No step from Entenmann on that one, Q.
Tell you, between the delay and the wet field conditions, these two very experienced goalies are seeing a lot of rubber early. Terps fans rejoice. They played in front of huge crowds down in College Park this season, as did Notre Dame and Arlada. Wing play will be paramount today. And an early offense, Chorus, seamlessly. He's a wingman on faceoffs. He's an old school midfielder, Paul, like a 1980s guy. He plays offense, he plays defense, he roams the middle of the field.
They all have the catapult system to track their GPS and mileage. No Terp player logs more miles on the field than Cadillac Chorus. And he has been incredible on the wings on faceoffs, generating some of those 6-on-6 type plays late in the season.
Entenmann guessing on that one. He oversteps it away from the ball. Your goal, your aim as a goalie is to step laterally or towards the ball, and it looked like he got caught thinking. Now, he's a veteran. He's got to settle down. He's let
for 7. What does that tell you?
Struggling. These are guys who have career save percentages above 55% in the NCAA tournament. The challenge for them, as I said, to hit that reset button, it's the next play that matters. I always felt that that next save was going to trigger the shutout streak. The shutout starts with your next save.
First midfield comes on now for Notre Dame. McLean, Dobson, and the freshman Faison, who doubles as a wide receiver on the Notre Dame football team.
Hand. That's a situation where you really want to get up on his left hand and force him down the alley.
He has become much, much better with that right hand. Wierman whiffed. Marco Napolitano cleans, and Notre Dame will set up the clear. Irish have scored on 5 of their last 6 shots. McNaney does not have a save. Entenmann only has 1.
You think about Maryland, they've played 1 game on natural grass this season. That was 2 days. Shots, 13 shots overall.
6 turnovers for Maryland to Notre Dame's 2 in that first quarter. Maryland has had success winning faceoffs, and an unforced error. McDonald threw it over McNaney. 7 turnovers now, despite a 7-3 edge on faceoffs.
Schizophrenic year for the Terps.
Staring down McNaney.
He's been on a tear down the stretch and had a 3-goal, 3-assist game against Maryland in the regular season. Wierman wins it to himself clean. The trail check by Parlett. 40 in white, who normally wears number 21, has been the unsung hero of this Notre Dame team, but it will stay with the Terps. Ball was not
Career, and we're at Final Fours and aspired to be in this moment. Pat Kavanaugh was very under-recruited. He didn't go through his growth spurt until later, as we see Will Lynch here get a ground ball. But Chris made it clear. He said, I'm only going to school where Pat goes. And Kevin Corrigan knew that you bet on an undersized Pat Kavanaugh because he has a Kavanaugh heart. And at the end, and we're at Final Fours and aspired to be in this moment. Pat Kavanaugh was very under-recruited. He didn't go through his growth spurt until later, as we see Will Lynch here get a ground ball. But Chris made it clear. He said, I'm only going to school where Pat goes. And Kevin Corrigan knew that you bet on an undersized Pat Kavanaugh because he has a Kavanaugh heart. And at the end,
If you're John Tillman, are you thinking timeout here soon?
We've only played 20 minutes. Notre Dame's got 8. Terps defense in this tournament has held everyone like below 10 in a full game, correct?
I don't think that's happening today.
They are getting shelled right now.
0.
If you're John Tillman, are you thinking timeout here soon?
We've only played 20 minutes. Notre Dame's got 8. Terps defense in this tournament has held everyone like below 10 in a full game, correct?
I don't think that's happening today.
They are getting shelled right now.
If you're from New York, you know it. It's the New York Rangers. The Kavanaughs are rabid hockey fans. They're piping Ranger music after a beauty by younger brother Chris.
Chris has 3 goals. Pat has 3 assists. Speaking of the Rangers, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 4. Tomorrow night on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Has had a hand in a goal. That's 5 of the 10.
There's the depth I was talking about when you could roll 9 out. And they did it on Saturday. They're fresh as can be. But they also create offense, the second and third midfield, in peculiar ways. I mean, Riley Gray is 6'4", 210 pounds. He doesn't really have to run by you. Busenkill is not one of those party starters who has electric first step type tendencies. They're really smart in terms of finding the smallest little seam.
First flag of the game.
Personal foul, illegal body check below the waist, 22 white, 1 minute. Illegal body check below the waist, 22 white, 1 minute.
Yeah, good tackle.
It's Will Lynch, the Notre Dame faceoff man, and if you're Maryland looking for the door to be slightly ajar.
He was a 2-time national champion at Syracuse in '89 and in '88 as well. He brought a functional, technical aspect to training attackers down in Georgia. You see how smooth they are with their skills, and they're very two-handed like Z was.
Flag down against Notre Dame.
That's big. That's big. Opening the door a bit.
The pendulum swung one way for most of this half. Maryland trying to take a little mojo into the locker room.
After possession, and that game swung in their favor with a 7-2 run in the fourth quarter.
Opportunity for Maryland to begin the third quarter. They have an extra man. They face off 3 versus 2. And Corus cleans it off the wing. Oh, Antomin with a big save. It'll reset the shot clock to 60.
Sure, that was Piper, a save, but it was a big one. Again, things change quickly in the sport of lacrosse.
A player come over from another sport and be asked to do the things that he was offensively. Maybe you could throw him in the middle of the field on wings and play some two-way, but he has been a steady force offensively. And I mentioned in the first half, it's allowed Eric Dobson to attack a short stick. Eric Dobson is one of the premier middies in college lacrosse, drafted by the Carolina Chaos. He'll be playing pro ball up in Albany next week.
Kevin, Brendan. There's an older sister, Colleen. And Kark, in this NCAA tournament, the Kavanaugh brothers in 4 games have combined for 40 points.
It's been incredible. I had them in the quarterfinal round against Georgetown. The 8 points by Chris Kavanaugh was the most by a Notre Dame player in NCAA tournament history. He'll have the keys to the offense next year when Pat moves on after graduation. He'll be playing for the Boston Cannons with older brother Matt.
Come out in the press box. He's become a big supporter of Notre Dame lacrosse. Lynch and Wierman in a battle for it. Maryland's done well on faceoffs. This has been the issue at times. It hasn't always translated to possessions, and it hasn't translated to early offense like it has at other times in this tournament.
Yeah, and without that alpha figure on offense, winning matchups has been tricky, and getting Notre Dame's defense.
He mentioned this third midfield, whether it's even running a scout team offense or in practice. He said there have been too many instances to count as Wierman had a chance and misses. Too many instances to count where they have taken the first defense's lunch money. And he said that's why they're playing.
And then it's that lefty rip, but he drops that right plant foot so wide.
I'll tell you, Kelly at practice on Friday, I spent some time with him. Leaders eat last.
Released its field of 64 earlier today. Tennessee, the #1 seed.
That championship game yesterday, it's archived on ESPN+, and I recommend if you're a young women's player or fan, please go watch the last 5 minutes of that game between Izzy Skane, Megan Taylor of Northwestern, and the save that Shea Dolce made in that game from Boston College. The best save at a championship game pivotal moment that I have ever seen, men's or women's. Completely fake, completely.
They are our Capital One players of the game. And in these 4 NCAA tournament games, they have combined for 42 points. 23 goals, 19 assists between the two. Pat Kavanaugh had a hat trick in the first 3 games, 6 assists today. There's Kavanaugh. He's had himself 5 goals today, had the 8-point game in the quarters against Georgetown. That set a Notre Dame single-game NCAA tournament record.
And quite a contrast from a year ago, when maybe not as productive. They kind of had to leave the stadium in a body bag. I mean, they were banged up as bad as it gets. The two brothers took some serious shots, played through massive injuries in winning last year's championship.
Pat Kavanaugh injured his hamstring last year.